How was it to work with and around Milton Trager? It was exciting. It was interesting. There were moments when it was terrifying. And that had very little to do with Milton Trager. It had everything to do with, am I good enough? What's my expectation of myself when I'm working with Milton? He certainly was honest, and sometimes he was brutally honest. He could say, no, that's not it. And occasionally he would just slap you on the butt and say, move over, this is what I want. I don't want that. He was very direct. And most of the time, it was clear that he didn't mean anything by it in terms of judging you. All in all, it was exhilarating to work with Milton. It was always fun. It was always great. That first morning, the anticipation was always something very, very special for all of us as the students. For the most part, when I would come to the class, I would see a number of people that I knew, some of whom I hadn't seen for several years, some of whom I'd seen more recently, the co-students. And there were always instructors in the room that I knew, and it was always good to see them too. All in all, there were moments in these classes that were just fabulous. And it was always helpful when he came to my table to be in my feet, to be present. He knew when you were present, he knew when you weren't. It was very clear to him. He didn't have to ask the question. And so if you were present, you would get more of his time. If there was something more that he could offer you. It was always good to ask Milton a question. It was always good to dress neutrally, which was an interesting thing that I don't think I've ever talked about. I remember one time we were in a class and one of the students showed up with a cap on that was like it had an arrow going through his head. And it just infuriated Milton. He thought that was really a disrespectful thing to do somehow. And that particular student got no attention from him at all. So that was a little learning for all of us, that we, you don't want to do anything that's taking away from, okay, I'm here with Milton in the class and he's going to give his time and his energy to us. And our job is to be attentive students. Our job is to be as present as we can and to listen as carefully, to not make excuses about what we're doing, to be with him and give him the opportunity to teach us, because that's what he was there to do. And when we gave him that opportunity, when we were really open and willing to take in what he offered, he was extremely generous with his time and his energy and his knowledge. And that was a great thing. As I'm teaching now, it's easier to be with the students who want to learn and who aren't being defensive. It's easier to be in the room with them than it is to be with students who some way are holding a particular position and defending it. As a teacher, I've learned over the years to play with them a little bit around those kinds of things in ways that Milton couldn't do so much. But you know, one time Milton said to me, he said, you know, you're going to be better at this work than I am. And I remember saying, oh, Milton, how can you even say that? That's not true. And he said to me, he said, no, you're going to be better. And the reason you're going to be better is because you had me. And I didn't have anybody. I had to figure it out on my own. And I didn't really believe him in the moment, but over the years, that's made more and more sense to me. I can draw on what I've learned from him to take me to new places in my own work and in my own teaching. And that's been terrific.